Recently, a lot of you have been conned. You've been tricked, you've been misled, but not by me. I don't report these stats. Other websites do, and I know a lot of you have been reading them, and they've been telling you a story and painting you a picture that I can see from the comment sections on many, many websites is completely false. And now the chickens are about to come home to roost. The damage is irreparable. In fact, your perception of these companies will drastically change within the next 12 months because magically, all of a sudden, these websites won't be able to trick you anymore. Hello, my friends. What am I talking about? Well, first of all, welcome to the channel. Great to have you. Great to have all these subscribers coming on board because it really does help our algorithms on the channel here. So thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate your support, guys. For those of you who don't know, my name is Sam Evans and I'm coming to you from Melbourne in Australia. We started this channel just over a year and a half ago. And really part of the reason I started this channel was my excitement, because I used to love gasoline-powered cars, muscle cars, fast cars, performance cars, hot hatches, Mustangs, all that kind of stuff. Just love them. And then all of a sudden, this was about, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, I started to realize they were getting more and more boring. So boring that they didn't interest me anymore because EVs were so much better in so many ways. Aside from the fact that I then started to realize that pollution is killing literally millions and millions of people every year, and there's no need for it. And then I realized that the future, and it is only one thing, that is the electric car. My friends, I'm sorry, a lot of you believe this. I've seen it. I've seen you say it. But the future is not plug-in hybrids. It's absolutely not. And in fact, they're already losing market share. I know a lot of you don't believe that, but the statistics say they are. In Europe, are they losing market share? Yes. In China, well, it's sort of a weird story in China. However, you remember, still more than 84% of all electrified vehicles in China are fully electric. So that means 8.5 people out of every 10 choose to buy an EV instead of a plug-in hybrid. Even though you can buy a lot of plug-in hybrids, there's quite a few choices. So it's not because there isn't choices. People are simply choosing that when electric cars cost a similar amount to a plug-in hybrid, they usually, 8.5 times out of 10, choose an EV. And the same thing is the case in Europe, except the percentage of plug-in hybrids as it relates to the percentage of EVs is going down in Europe. And it's actually gone down every single month now for about 12 months straight. So those are the real numbers, but that's about to change drastically, very drastically. Why does all this matter? Well, if you're looking at current numbers, if you're seeing the numbers, and I know many of you are, you're seeing these numbers being reported on various websites, right? Inside EVs, Clean Technica, you guys have great sites, you do some great stuff, but unfortunately, you are spreading some false propaganda, some false messaging, and that is that BMW is selling hundreds of thousands of EVs, and all these other companies are selling so many EVs in Europe, and they're smashing Tesla out of the water. And what people don't realize is those figures you guys are reporting, they include what? They include dying plug-in hybrids. And why are they dying? Well, they're dying because, guess what? Subsidies are about to be cancelled for plug-in hybrids. Yep, it's true. Germany is removing the grants for plug-in hybrids. This will hasten the demise of this technology in Europe. Once there are no more grants for them, vehicles are already slowing down. They're already losing market share, slowing down with grants. What do you think is going to happen once there are grants and once there's more EVs available, which is imminent, is happening right now as we speak? Right? More Chinese companies are coming in and selling EVs. Tesla's making more EVs, and even some European companies are making more EVs. This just means the future of plug-in hybrids is over. They'll be pretty well extinct in Europe within the next few years. Now, I know many of you find that sad. You probably wanted a plug-in hybrid, and I understand where you're coming from. That's all right. But I'm here to tell you the facts, not some sort of fiction that BMW is selling massive amounts of EVs, because it's fiction. I'm sorry, my friends. A plug-in hybrid is not an electric car. It's a car with a gasoline engine and a battery pack and, many parts that you don't need. You're adding complexity. You're adding weight. You're basically making something you don't need. right? So it now seems certain that revisions to Germany and other countries' government grants, which are going to follow soon, for the purchase of a plug-in car will result in the abolition of the plug-in hybrid, meaning the grant will no longer be provided in 2023, which is imminent. We're 2 months away from plug-in hybrids basically dying in Germany, and this will be a flow-on effect in other countries. Now, obviously, the German car market is the biggest car market in Europe by a fair margin. At present, the plug-in hybrid subsidy is €6,750. So for you Aussies, that's more than $10,000. That's a big difference. In fact, that's a monumentally big difference. Now, to qualify for this amount, cars need to have a homologated electric-only range of 60 kilometers, which, well, most of them say that they do. Yeah. And they should have a net list price of no more than €50,000. However, if it costs up to €65,000, they still get a grant of €5,600. So, yeah, still a lot of money, right, that you're not going to get anymore. Now, the thing is, this is all actually worse than it sounds. And the reason for that is, this allowance comes along with an even more valuable fully electric car grant, and it was part of significantly boosting support packages introduced at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic as a measure to both maintain car demand and skew it towards environmentally friendly vehicles. The resulting dramatic shift in plug-in hybrid demand can be seen in this chart here, right? This is going to be even worse, way worse now that there's no subsidies for them, and of course, competition's coming, all right? We've got all these electric cars coming from China. We've got Tesla ramping up production. I mean, what's going to happen to the market is it will just collapse very, very quickly. Obviously, in Germany, it's going to be basically dead. What does that mean? It's no longer as viable for mainstream automakers to even make plug-in hybrids because the market size will be much smaller. So will they continue to sell them? I'm going to guess so. Will they continue to develop them? No. Development of plug-in hybrids will be pretty much over for European car companies because they can see the writing on the wall, because this happens, right? In conjunction with, in the past 2 hours, the European Union goes and signs the official document saying, guess what? Any vehicle with any type of gasoline-powered or diesel-powered engine in it will be banned in 2035. Now, I'm not talking about existing vehicles on the roads. Don't get your panties in a knot. I'm not talking about those. I'm just talking about vehicles that are new. So this all means adoption of EVs will happen much, much more quickly. Plus, manufacturers, because they now realize they can't make combustion-powered vehicles at all in 2035, that will actually accelerate their EV production. Now, why this is all worse is because of this reason. The number of plug-in hybrid models available on the German market has grown, surprisingly, from an average of 25 in the years 2017 to 2019 to 52 in 2020, and then up to 80 in 2021, which is where it is around about now in 2022. So hasn't grown at all this year. However, this represents a huge investment in technology for the sector, with the German brands being overweight on the share of total sales. In 2021, they accounted for 60% of all plug-in hybrids sold in the country at 182,000 units. Plug-in hybrid sales in Germany, driven by the high mix of premium vehicles and attractive incentives, made up 1/3 of the million plug-in hybrid sales that took place Europe-wide in 2021. Now, when these German manufacturers are like, well, people are not going to be really buying them in Germany now, is it really worth us, focusing on these vehicles? I'm going to say they're probably not going to do so much, right? Would that make sense? Let me know your thoughts. Not only is the German plug-in hybrid segment particularly important to German brands, it's also fundamental to developing critical mass for the technology across the whole region. Of course, were it to collapse, the rules of the game will change. And not only would investment in new plug-in hybrid models decline or even stop, but existing models could see their life cycle shorten as sales volumes fall below economic levels. That's the thing, right? To actually produce a vehicle, you need to make enough of them to make it economically viable. And if you can't produce enough of them at scale, it therefore costs too much to make and doesn't make sense to even produce it. I'm going to guess those 81 models will significantly decrease in 2023 and even more in 2024. Now, supported by incentives focused on the premium end of the market and able to achieve good CO2 ratings, which now the European Union is saying are mostly false, plug-in hybrids have fallen into the tranche of vehicles that have tended to be prioritized during the semiconductor chip crisis as they commanded strong price premiums and returned good profits for car makers while helping keep down average emissions. However, that's going to change now because the testing on plug-in hybrids will change. People have been saying the testing on plug-in hybrids is not real world and it's giving fake emissions numbers. That's putting more pressure on these automakers, right? They don't want to get fines. They don't want to be involved in any more scandals like Volkswagen's $35 billion they've spent. In fact, I think it's $50 billion now. They don't want any more like Toyota's going through that now, having fines, billion-dollar fines for their emission scandals. They want to avoid those kinds of controversies. I honestly think that all of them will pull out of this technology, period, within the next couple of years. Now, a number of automotive bodies and statisticians conclude that plug-in hybrid demand is at its peak now, and it will slowly decline over the next couple of years, becoming redundant completely by 2030. The thing is, right, this is not just Germany. It turns out Germany isn't the only market to reduce its support for plug-in hybrids and focus on zero emissions vehicles. The second biggest automotive market in Europe has done the same thing. The UK did the same a couple of years ago, as did Ireland from the start of this year. Elsewhere, plug-in hybrid grants tend to be significantly smaller than those available for EVs, and they're generally seen as low-hanging fruit as governments look to roll back expenditure on support for vehicles fitted with plug-in technologies as they become commonplace. Basically, governments, a lot of what they do is about politics, right? And they don't really look that great supporting plug-in hybrids. It's okay, it's not bad. But if they support EVs, they think they look better. So politics is part of this as well. There's one other thing to keep in mind here. This decline in plug-in hybrids won't come from just this. It's also going to come from other companies, right? We know there's enormous demand for EVs. Chinese car makers are coming to Europe and they will be selling every EV they possibly can at better prices than the competition. The other thing is happening is that manufacturing price pressures on plug-in hybrids and electric vehicles is only going in one direction. As battery material costs decline, purely electric cars will become cheaper and make plug-in hybrids less economical. If you look at the plug-in hybrid vehicles that are actually selling in China right now, you can see the future of this industry. There will be a future of this industry, but it doesn't include the tiny batteries that many companies used to use in their plug-in hybrids, like what Mercedes are using now. For example, in the C63 AMG, it has a 6 kilowatt hour battery, which gives the car 12 kilometers of range. That is not the future of plug-in hybrids. You can see what the future is, and that is what BYD is selling, and they're selling very well in Europe. Li Auto as well. They're selling plug-in hybrids which have 200 kilometers or more of purely electric range. They're the only kind of plug-in hybrids that I see having a potential future. That means you've got to put a battery pack in of a minimum of 30 to 40 kilowatt hours in size. Realistically, if you simply make that battery pack a bit bigger, you can avoid putting in an engine, a transmission, and all the other complex componentry that you need to do to make those two technologies together. Realistically, it will no longer be efficient to produce these vehicles within only a couple of years. Look at it this way. The best-selling plug-in hybrid model in 2021 in Germany was Ford's Kuga. The Kuga has a starting price of 43,750 euros. That's the cheapest model. The PHEV grant of $5,600 represents 13% of that figure. Removing it will have a huge impact on addressable audience for the Kuga plug-in hybrid. For the next few years, yes, plug-in hybrids will continue to play a significant but declining role in Europe's roadmap to electric-only vehicles in 2035. But it will shrink next year and the year after, and basically, we'll look back and say, yep, 2022 was the year when plug-in hybrids really died. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.